Hello, my fellow Night Warriors, and welcome back to Thorgiween, our full, however long this goes on for, celebration of everything dark and spooky in the world of video games. However, I do realize this is something of a shift for a lot of people out there, because normally we don't really talk about horror games on this channel, we normally talk about fighting games. So a lot of people out there are probably wondering, hey, are there any dark and spooky fighting games out there? If you're wondering that, you have not been watching this channel long, because every single year for Halloween, we do something relating to Darkstalkers. It's one of my favorite fighting games of all time, and it is the perfect fighting game for Halloween. It is an amazing game that is a celebration of classic horror monsters, while having incredible quick-paced combat and a fantastic, memorable art style. It is easily the best fighting game to play at this time of year. And yet Capcom refuses to acknowledge it, other than putting them in Tekken, and... No, that's it. I really thought I was going to have another thing to throw in there. Anyway, so as I said, we always do something related to Darkstalkers this time of year, but we did a builder roster for them. We did a fighting game retrospective for them. Last year we did something unique where we talked about the best monsters in fighting games, so that was very Darkstalker heavy. But I'm starting to run out of ideas, so what exactly is a YouTuber supposed to do when they need to get some content out there, but they're all out of ideas? So we're doing a tier list today, everybody. Hey, so we are recording this live right now over at twitch.tv/ThorgiesArcade. You can follow a link in the description down below if you ever want to join us over there. And we do something special for Darkstalkers every single year around Halloween on this channel. It's one of my favorite fighting game franchises of all time, and it's also very appropriate for the season. So we always like to put something out there. And you know what? I enjoy doing tier lists. We do this occasionally over on Twitch, so today we're doing a tier list and we're also recording it and we're going to put it up on the channel for you guys to enjoy. And we are going to rank the Darkstalkers characters. Now you might be wondering, what the hell does that mean? When I say we're going to rank them, I don't mean in terms of how good they are. This is not a tier list of who is the best character in the game to play. No, I am qualified to talk about a lot of things when it comes to fighting games. I'm not qualified to talk about who is or is not top tier, because I don't really worry about that stuff. I always just enjoy fighting games for the characters, for how fun it is. If a character is good competitively, great. Applause all around, and that does mean something. We're gonna give you some points for that, but to me, a lot of fighting games, and especially Darkstalkers, they're more about just having fun, and that's going to mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people out there. So what we're ranking today when it comes to the Darkstalkers characters, it's not who is going to dominate a tournament, it's more of just how much do we like the characters. And that means a lot of things. How good is their design? How good is their lore? How good is their personality? How memorable are they? How cool are their moves? And yes, we will also be talking about, are they actually good competitively? Also, I'm going to warn everybody on YouTube. As I said, we're recording this live over at Twitch. The chat is not on screen right now, but I may occasionally interact with the chat. So, here we go. We're going to actually begin at the bottom, and as you can see here, I have compiled a list of all the Darkstalkers characters, including the secret ones in there. So, we are going to begin at the bottom. There's no F rank, and there's no D rank. Because you know something? Controversial hot take, there's no bad Darkstalkers characters. That's right, I said it. Someone just said they're curious if D is on the list. Bam, there he is. Yeah, there are no bad Darkstalkers characters. I'll go ahead and say that right now. The worst Darkstalker character is still okay. So now we're going to talk about the okay characters. And you don't get much more okay than Rikuo. I know that there's going to be a lot of people throwing out right now, hey, he's surprisingly attractive for a fish man. Yes, he is. That joke is hilarious and stuck with us for decades now. It's been one of the only things we've had to hold on to when it comes to Darkstalker entertainment. But that's really all that there is to Rikuo. I mean, he's cool. I do enjoy his animations. I enjoy that he transforms into a bunch of little fish things whenever he does his attacks. And also, speaking competitively, he is massively broken in Darkstalkers 3. He's actually very top tier in Darkstalkers 3. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to Rikuo besides that. So for now, I'm leaving him at C. And now I'm going to get into even more controversial hot takes on this one. I like Sasquatch. I do. He's furry and round and shaped like a friend. He's great. But, out of all these characters with their crazy lores, and their crazy backstory, and their crazy designs, he's just a Sasquatch. That's all there kind of is to it, and his lore is that his people wanted to take over the world until they ate bananas and then they were good. That's kind of all there is to it. The chat is not really happy about this one. Oh, the chat is not happy about this one or Rikuo. I'll go ahead and say that. He's sweet. He is very sweet. He's a good boy. I mean, like, that's kind of all that we got going for him in there. And then, man, I don't know how the chat's reacting to this anymore. I know these are tough cuts. We're already in the tough zone right here. I'm gonna go Bishamon. I know. As a Canadian, I feel insulted. Oh, I know he's one of the only good Canadian reps in fighting games. It's like him, Maxima, and Wolf. That's it. That's all. That's the three you got. But then Bishamon, I love his design on the belly, but the rest of him is just samurai guy. And I feel like if the whole thing with him is that he's supposed to be a haunted suit of armor and a haunted sword, and he's possessing this guy, they could do so much more interesting with his design. He's definitely got some cool moves in there. He's definitely got some cool moves. I love that he can send out the little spirit things to grab someone. I love that he has one of the first non-Mortal Kombat fatalities in fighting games. Because if he finishes someone off with that big sword swipe, it can actually cut them in half. That's a very surprising thing. But yeah, I don't think they do nearly enough with how much they could do with him. I mean, haunted suit of armor, there's so much that you can do with that design. He's just a big blue guy. The mouth is really the only thing he's got going for him. His backstory is awesome. I will say that. He does have one of the most tormented and sad backstories of any of these characters. But I don't really... I feel like there's just so much more they could do with him. However, we're including the secret characters in here. And there is a Boro Bishamon. And this is Bishamon after he has reclaimed his humanity and the human has taken it over. And I enjoy this character because, objectively, he's worse than Bishamon because he actually loses some of his moves. But I kind of dig that flavor. I kind of dig that he actually loses some of his ghostly moves in this form. Because it does kind of speak into his backstory, and I love that they gave him a special win animation, where when he wins, he actually transforms back into his human self. That's actually really cool. I love that somebody in the chat said, everyone in Darkstalkers is tortured, he ain't special. Yeah, this is just one big support group for people with horrific backstories. Speaking of horrific backstories, okay. Hear me out. Hear me out. Talbane is going to be way up there. Talbane is going to be very, very high on this list. I'm putting Dark Talbane in here. I gotta put Dark Talbane in here because I love that they did take the evil version of, like, basically the beastly side of Talbane. The werewolf side inside of his brain trying to break free, and they turned that into a character specifically for Talbane to fight. There's so much more they could have done with it. I believe it's been a long time since I went up against Dark Talbane, but I believe the only thing that really makes him different from regular Talbane is that in Darkstalkers 1, when he did his Dragon Can, a big wolf face came out. And in Darkstalkers 3, when he does the Dragon Can, multiple wolf faces come out. Dark Talbane, it's just the one wolf face. I believe that's the big difference. And that's kind of it. They could definitely have done more. It's cool that he exists. That's why he is here at C, but there's still so much more they could have done with him. And like with Abora Beachmon, yeah, moveset-wise, I think they did a lot with him. I mean, objectively, it makes him a worse character. I will totally agree with that. But just for lore and flavor, I think it makes him very interesting. Yeah, they could have done some more with him. There might be something in there that I'm missing. There might be something that I'm absolutely missing in there, but yeah. I think they could have done more with Dark Talbane. Now this one might hurt people. Then again, I've been misreading the chat this entire time. So this one might hurt. We're gonna see. I think Huitzel is great, but he doesn't really get a lot. Okay, Huitzel has a great bit of story, and that he was a robot sent down to Earth in order to help Pyron take over the world. But then he ends up getting damaged. He forgets he Goku's it. He basically does the Goku thing. His head gets injured. He forgets what he's supposed to do. Somebody just pointed out the better thing. He's OG Iron Giant. Yes, that's true. However, the thing that makes Huitzel the most interesting lore-wise is that he meets this kid, and basically, yeah, it's OG Iron Giant. The kid helps him to become good. That kid does not appear until, like, Vampire Savior 2, which was the Japanese-only version of Vampire Savior that, like, shifted the roster around. And I feel like they oh, man, I'm second-guessing myself on this one. I'm second-guessing myself because, yeah, I feel like they should have explored his character way more. I feel like there's definitely a lot more that you could have done with him, but I'm now remembering all of his kick-ass moves. He's got a lot of kick-ass moves, and he does have some of the best animations in the entire game. He's B. All right, we're putting him in B. I think that's all the C's. I think that's everyone that I feel comfortable putting in. Well, I'm gonna gauge the chat on this one. I'm gonna gauge the chat on this one. I'm gonna put Victor here. Oh, the chat's mad. I'm gonna be real with you. If I was being completely honest, I wouldn't have C in here at all. I wouldn't have C in here at all, simply because I love all these characters so much. But I got rid of F and I got rid of D. Somebody's gotta be in C rank. Somebody has to be in C rank. Victor's animations, that's the one thing. That's the one thing why I'm like, oh, is he C or B? Because let's be real, if we're talking about lore-wise, he's just Frankenstein. Like, the only difference is that he actually likes his creator, but his creator died. So now he's trying to figure out, like, what death is. And it's like, okay, that's actually kind of tragic. But yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot in there, lore-wise, backstory-wise, that really makes him different. And design-wise, listen, Rikuo is based on the creature from the Black Lagoon. He looks very different from the creature from the Black Lagoon. This dude's just Frankenstein. He's entirely just Frankenstein. Design-wise, I actually think he's one of the weaker characters because there is just not really a lot to him other than just being Frankenstein. But his animations are top freaking tier. His animations are top tier. This dude... the basic stuff to point out. He can enlarge his fist, he can enlarge his forehead, he shocks the entire arena, he's got so many cool animations. But then he's got the big booty bump. He's got the you know what? B for big booty bump. The big booty bump gets him up there. Yeah, we gotta do it. We gotta go B for big booty bump. Now we're going into B. Now we're going into B, and I feel way more comfortable about this. I feel bad putting some of these characters in here. These three I feel, actually, I'm thinking about, these three I feel are fine at C. These are the two that kind of hurt. I feel like I can stick with Sasquatch at C. But we might return to Rikuo. Okay. Someone in the chat just said, B is blessed with undead cake, and that phrase is never going to leave my brain. Now we're in B, and honestly, I feel way more comfortable about this. Let's go ahead and get Shadow and Marionette in there. I love these two. These two are amazing ways of spicing up the random character select It's just such a simple, small way of making random character select an actually interesting part of your game, which is something that I almost never ever see anyone do in their game. However, yeah, they're just random character selects. I can't put them much higher, but they are very interesting ways. I mean, you got Shadow, who is basically the Thing. He's this creature that possesses the character you defeat, so you play as them in the next round. That's an amazing idea. That is something that it's shocking to me that nobody has ever tried putting something like that into a game, and it's a unique thing to do that really, again, it's just random character select. It's something that exists in all fighting games, but this makes it interesting. And also, it adds a ton to the creepy side of Darkstalkers. And Marionette, hey man, I saw Digital Circus. I know that everybody's into mopey jester girls right now. She's gotta be up here. But yeah, I love her design. I love the giant key in her back. And also, yeah, you talk about creepy stuff. The fact that she just like kind of like comes in and just like turns into a copy of your character. I love that. Yeah, I would love if Darkstalkers ever comes back. Shadow, I feel, can stick with being the random character select creature. But I would love to see Marionette actually become a playable character with her own unique moveset. Also because, I mean, like, the killer doll is a famous horror trope. It would be great to see her actually become a full-fledged character. Yeah, she could become a real girl. We all just play Lies of P. We know that Pinocchio killer monsters are in right now. She'd be great. Now. Okay. Next, I'm going to put Pyron in here. Someone in the chat has been saying Pyron should be C. They don't like Pyron. I always thought Pyron was a cool boss. He doesn't fit the monster trope. I will gladly admit that. I will gladly admit Pyron does not fit the monster trope. I know he's supposed to be an alien, but you think of horror aliens, you don't think of, like, gods. In a weird way, I would actually, if they brought Darkstalkers back and they had Pyron be the main villain again, I would love for them to try and take him in almost like a Lovecraftian angle. Because you want to talk space horror and gods. That's the way to do it. I think that would be a very unique way to go with Pyron. But yeah, that's why he's getting so low on here. He just doesn't really fit the horror aesthetic all that much. However, animation-wise, man, when this game came out, Pyron's animations were incredible. I remember just being blown away by it. For the time, what they were able to do with Pyron was groundbreaking, but also, he is indeed a final boss. He was one of those first Capcom bosses that made me realize, oh, this is what a broken final boss feels like. So, who's next? Who is next? I'm gonna break some hearts on this one. Donovan has those people out there who love the hell out of him. They really do. But to me, he's kind of like Johnny Cage in that it's like, yeah, he's got his fans, but this is a game full of crazy monsters. Why do I want to go with this guy? Why do I want to go with like the normal human? Oh, the chat is mad. Oh. Except for Anita, he doesn't have anything to him. That's my whole thing. I love the thing with him and Anita. You know what? I'm gonna put them side by side right there. They're side by side because I was going to judge Anita as a separate character, but no, they're a package deal. Maybe we ever get that sequel, which will probably never happen, but they are a package deal for now. So we're putting them together. I'm putting him at the top of B. He's very close to A. Because it is cool to have an actual monster hunter in the game. The idea of somebody who hunts down the Darkstalkers, that's great. Also, he is Blade, because he's got like the half vampire side to him. He's a Dhampir. That's also a good addition. And the fact that he's also got like different gods that he can summon in to attack. And he's got the sword that he can spin around. But that's also kind of one of my problems with Donovan. He's got way too much going for him, in my opinion. I feel like he's just got too many things going on. I feel like if they focus a little bit more on one or two sides of him, he'd be a much more interesting character. Because that's my other thing. I just don't, even though he's, Even though he's tortured by the fact that he's part monster and he's got the monster sign him trying to come out, you've got so many other interesting characters who are doing new things. Where's the whole like, oh, I've got the vampire sign me finally come out? It's like, we've seen that a lot. And that's my one big complaint there with his personality, is that the thing that makes him interesting is a thing that we've seen in a lot of other characters. I'll also go ahead and put D in here. Because in a weird way, I feel like if I could merge all three of these characters into one, it would bump them up to A. You know what? I was mostly putting him at B because I was going to count D as a separate character. And I was also going to count Anita as a separate character, even though she's only been playable in Marvel superheroes. So her playstyle doesn't really matter on that one. I only want to go with the playable characters in here. But considering that she's not playable in this game, yeah, it's kind of unfair. And you know what? The more I think about it, the more I realize that the little bit of extra story that we got for D in the home PS2 Japanese only release of the Darkstalkers Vampire Collection is technically the final bit of story that we have ever gotten for Darkstalkers. You know, I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually merge all three of them into one, and it bumps him up to A. It bumps him up to A because I'm merging all of them together. And the fact that, again, it just kind of hit me. Wow, his story with D that we got in that home release of that collection in Japan is the final bit of story that we got. So you know what? He deserves it. He deserves it. Is there anyone else that is B? I don't think so. Like I said, this is a solid collection of characters in this franchise. All right. Now I feel like we're going to be hurting some people again, simply because there's going to be a lot of people now arguing about who should be S-class and who should be A-class. I'm going to go with the first one that I feel is kind of a safe bet, QB. I love QB. QB to me is that character that when you look at all the characters from Darkstalkers who continue to pop up in things and continue to get representation in things, like Morrigan is always going to be around, Felicia always gets some love, Hisinko always gets some love, Jetta even came back in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. If Morgan is around, then Lilith is going to still be around. People still talk about John Talbane, people still talk about Lord Raptor, people still talk about all these characters. BB Hood is always going to be in everything. People are still going to remember who BB Hood is for years to come. QB feels like that character who people have just completely stopped talking about. But to me, QB is that character who needs way more attention. I believe that A, interesting concept. B, great design. I love that the eyes here are not her actual eyes. Everybody points that out, but I love it. Her color pattern, yellow and purple, I love it. I don't know why, but I really dig it. Also, they took an insect woman and actually made it fashionable. I love the cuffs on her arms. I love her haircut. I love how the purple in her legs kind of almost looks like a dancer's tights sort of. I love that basically she looks like a backup dancer in some big insect play. I really dig a lot about QB, and her animations are so good. Her ending is great in the game. QB is great, but she just doesn't get nearly enough love. She to me is that character that deserves way more attention. Then, oh, this is tough. This is tough. I'm going to say Lilith is A, because people absolutely love Lilith, but she is forever destined to always be overshadowed by Morgan. She is always destined to be overshadowed by Morgan, and we all know where Morgan is going to go. So, yeah, Lilith, I feel, gets an A. Next. All right, people are going to be mad at me on this one. Actually, before I get to the one that everyone's going to be mad at me on, I'm going to go with Anakaris. I dig that for once we got a mummy who isn't very skinny. Instead, he's a giant wall of beef. He's a giant muscular mummy. I think he's got a lot of interesting moves, great animations, and also he's got something that makes a whole lot of Darkstalkers characters stand out. He's got a super that transforms you into something. If you get a super that transforms you into something, you instantly get respect. He can even transform you into like a couple different things. If I'm talking like personality, if I'm talking like backstory, he'd be a B for me. But it's animations and his super that get him up to A. So, oh God, now we're getting into, oh man, now it's really tough. Oh, it's really tough now, and I hate this. I hate all of this. This is the part where I start to feel bad about myself. Okay, this is the one everybody's gonna hate me on. And that's saying something, because I've been reading the chat on this. I gotta do it. I think his Cinco is the top of A. I think his Cinco is the top of A. I love a whole lot of things about his Cinco. Great design, great moves, but it's just competition. I just feel like the rest of this cast is really, really tough. I just feel like the rest of this... Damn, the chat is very mad. The chat is very mad. It's literally just because I think the rest of this cast is so hard to top. We'll come back to his Cinco. I can't just put all these guys in S. We have to be tough on this. We have to stand strong and be tough on this. Some of these characters have to be A. I hate doing this. I really do. Because he's one of my absolute favorite characters in this entire series. I'll put Lord Raptor at A. Counterpoint and SS tier? Don't tempt me. Yeah, it hurts putting Lord Raptor in there, because in my heart, he's top of S. I love Lord Raptor. I love his personality. He's a rock and roll zombie. I even love him in the freaking cartoons. I love Lord Raptor. Great design. I think he is a standout character for this entire franchise. Love that guitar. I love all of his animations. I love that when he goes into his dark dimension, he plays the first couple notes of Thriller. No, it's Bad. He plays the first couple notes of Bad. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm shocked they got away with that, but somehow they did. His gameplay is not as good as a lot of the other characters, so I'll bump it down a little bit for that. But again, then I'm going to rise him back up once more because I love the Hell Dunk. The Hell Dunk is one of my favorite moves in this entire franchise. He turns you into a basketball and then slams. Oh my God. He takes you to the Space Jam. It's such a good move. Okay. I'm listening to the chat on this one a little bit. So his Cinco is no longer the top of A. Lord Raptor is the top of A. Which means... yeah, I think the rest of these are all going to be S-Class. The bottom of S-Class to me is Dimitri. Because in all honesty, if we're talking about design-wise, Dimitri's a B. If we're talking personality-wise, I enjoy a megalomaniacal vampire trying to take over the world. Plus, he was the original protagonist of the franchise in the very first game. Kind of interesting making a villain the protagonist back then. That was a unique thing. So yeah, that gets you a couple points in there. But his moves are awesome. He's got so many cool moves. I love that he actually has multiple moves where he transforms into his big vampire demonic form. That's an awesome thing to do. And also... come on, baby. Let's be real, the reason why he's able to get to the S-Class is the Midnight Bliss. The Midnight Bliss is one of the most memorable moves in all of fighting games, but also, as I pointed out in our video last year talking about the best fighting game monsters, it's maybe the best vampire super in any fighting game. It's one of the best, if not the best, vampire super in any fighting game, because one of the distinguishing things about vampires is that they have mesmerizing powers. They can actually like stare into the eyes of someone and mesmerize them, and they typically use that to make young women fall in love with them. That is just part of vampire lore. They found a way to turn that into a super. And also, what did I say about Anikaris? What did I say about the Hell Dunk? Anytime that you have a move in this game that transforms you into a different thing, that immediately gets you points. The Midnight Bliss, like, there's a lot of work that goes into that, because not only does he transform you into a thing, he then sucks your blood, and they have unique animations for that thing that they transform you into of you getting your blood sucked. It is a crazy, crazy effective move. It's great. But yeah, the rest of them is kind of bland, so that gives him up to S class, but the rest of them is, it's kind of bland. So, also I should really point out, you know what? I just remembered, she's got the Gloomy Puppet Show. It doesn't get her up to S, but the Gloomy Puppet Show definitely bumps her up above Anna Karis. The Gloomy Puppet Show is amazing. It traps your opponent in a DDR game. That's wonderful. So yeah, okay, that bumps her up. That definitely bumps her up. Next, I hate doing this. I really do. Next is going to be John Talbane. John Talbane is one of my top 3 favorite characters in this entire franchise. He is a kung fu werewolf. So they took like a classic monster design and then interpreted it into something that would fit in a fighting game, but also considering that he is trying to fight back against the beast inside of him and trying to find inner peace, it would make sense that he would study kung fu. It would make sense that he would study martial arts. It fits his character very well. But I gotta be honest, he has not had the biggest impact on the series. I feel like a lot of fans of this franchise absolutely love him. However, when we're talking about characters who have continued to pop up in other things, Anna Karis has popped up in other things, Lilith has popped up in other things, Pyron's popped up in other things, Dimitri's popped up in other things. John Talbane, Capcom just left that dude. Capcom just put that dude over to the side. Just like pushed him over into the corner and just said, yeah, we'll get back to you whenever. That's what's so frustrating about John Talbane. It's that he has not had the legacy that he deserves. But he has not had that legacy. So yeah, we gotta take that into account. Very good point. He was supposed to be in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. It's weird when you look up like how many characters were originally going to be in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like, Capcom just went nuts with that. They were just, man, the initial pitch for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is the anti-Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, because instead of Capcom just going, don't put in anybody new, don't put in anything cool, don't do anything like that, they were just like, we're going to put in everything into this game. And they just didn't have time and money for it. Speaking of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, next up, Jedha. I love Jedha. I think Jedha is the perfect final boss for Darkstalkers. He is floating vampire Jesus. He's got an awesome design. Again, he doesn't have the full transformation moves like a lot of these other characters, but he does unique things. Like, he's got the contract where he slams you into it and then it leaves an imprint of your entire character in there. That's great. He's also got the thing where he fills you up with blood and every character has their own unique animation for when they get filled up with blood. It's great. He also is just genuinely creepy. He's genuinely creepy. He literally has a move where he rips his own head off and sprays blood on you. Like, that is a horror fighting game character right there. It's one of the best interpretations of the idea of making an actual horror character into Darkstalkers. He has not had as big of a legacy as some of these other characters, so I'm not putting him too much higher. But yeah, to me, he is, if you want to talk about who should be the final boss of a Darkstalkers game, it's Jedha. He's great. Also, let's just go ahead and say right now, he's the only reason why Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite's roster is even the slightest bit interesting. He was the one addition in that game that was like, oh, didn't see that coming, and he should probably be in here. So yeah, there you go. Also, best stage. Fetus of God. You know what? Actually, after saying all that, you guys were really fighting for Hisinko, but after saying all that, I'm putting her behind Jedha. I'm gonna put her behind Jedha. You guys convinced me to bump her up to S class, but I think top 5 is good. I think we can all live with top 5 on that one. We already talked about her. Top 5, there you go. Now we got the top 3. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I didn't plan any of this out in my head when we began this thing. I didn't think this would be the top 3. I knew Morrigan would be there. We all knew Morrigan was going to be top 3. I didn't think this would be our top 3. I thought I was going to probably end up putting like Talbane and Lord Raptor in top 3, but nope. Common sense won out in the end. Damn. Okay, now this is a tough call. This stream makes me depressed we don't have a new Darkstalkers game. That's how I feel every day. Yeah, let's go ahead and get this out of the way right now, just to make this easier on me. Morrigan's number 1. Morrigan is the only reason why people are still talking about Darkstalkers today. Like, Morrigan has carried this franchise on her shoulders for the past 20 years at this point. She's been the thing that has been keeping this franchise alive. In fact, at this point, she's not even a spokesperson for Darkstalkers, she's a spokesperson for Capcom. She has scoliosis for how hard she's carrying. Yeah. So yeah, let's go over the basics here. Yeah, first off, great design. That design has not changed in nearly 30 years, and it still works. She's been the only Darkstalkers character to be represented in so many franchises. They didn't even give her a brand new sprite for Capcom vs. SNK. They just lifted it from the old game, and it looks horrible in there, but you know what? It's Morrigan in this game. Who cares? She's in there. Also, very good moveset. Incredibly fun moveset that is accessible to brand new players. So even if you want to pick up this game, she's a good character to start with. Very interesting supers. I love the one in which she doubles up and like attacks you from both sides. Yeah, I don't think there's anything we need to say. It's obvious she's the number 1 Darkstalkers character because she's the one keeping the franchise alive. And that means who's number 2 and who's number 3. Okay. If we want to talk about who is a more interesting character, it's BB Hood. If we want to talk about who's a more interesting character, it's BB Hood. If we want to talk about who's more of a fan favorite, it's arguably Felicia. I think, oh God, you know what? I gotta do this. I gotta do it like that. And I'll tell you why BB Hood wins out in the end. It's because Felicia is incredibly fun. Felicia is an incredibly fun character. People enjoy upbeat, positive characters in fighting games. And Felicia is absolutely that. And she's a character that, in a way, she gets along well with others. And what I mean by that is, if you stick her in any other game, she instantly works with the other characters because she just wants to be friends with everyone else. In those Marvel vs. Capcom trailers, it was like, oh, everybody's teaming up with someone. Who's Felicia gonna be with? Mike Hagar. And she's just helping him blow out a fire on his son. You know what? It's Felicia. It works. That's the magic of Felicia. You put her wherever you want to put her. Bam. She instantly fits in. She can be friends with anyone. In, Capcom Fine Evolution, she's got that ending where she puts on the giant dance number with every other female Capcom character. Yeah, totally. She can be friends with all of them. She fits everywhere. But the uniqueness of BB Hood is what gets her up here. I'm just gonna go ahead and say, if this was my own personal ranking, BB Hood, I'd still put her, I would put BB Hood top of A. Like, I like BB Hood, but she just never really did it for me. Like, she just never really made me go like, oh yeah, that's the best character in here. I absolutely love that character. I like BB Hood. I think she's a great addition to Darkstalkers. But speaking personally, I would just put her top of A. But objectively speaking, in terms of how much people enjoy her, how unique her design is, how great her supers are, because dear God, her supers are great. She calls out all the woodsmen to come in there and just start blasting you, playing into the Red Riding Hood aesthetic. But then she also does the whole thing where she's a bounty hunter, hitman, fighting the Darkstalkers, hunting them down, and she's got tons of just really aggressive and mean-spirited moves that match that. And then she's got the stuff that's right there in the middle, where she just pretends to be an innocent young girl and like offers you an apple, or like tosses a little landmine at you, but she tosses it out of her picnic basket. She carries around all the weapons in the picnic basket too. It's such a great little touch. Or she's got the one where she just starts crying and beats the crap out of you while she's crying and then tosses you into a lake of her tears. That's an amazing super. This was before the day and age of cinematic supers, and it still kind of feels like a cinematic super, but then she's got the evil laugh there at the end that she does. Oh, it's great. Yeah, she's got some of the best supers in the entire game, one of the most unique concepts, great design. She's the second best Darkstalkers character. There you go. So, is there anything we want to change in here? Honestly, I feel pretty good about this. And not just because there's an amazing symmetry going on here for A, B, and C. Again, did not plan any of this. Move Sasquatch above Rikuo? There you go. I feel good about that. I feel okay about that. Add Ruby Heart and a Mingo. As honorable mentions, Ruby Heart is, they're both A. Neither of them get up to S class, but if I gave them honorable mentions, it'd be A. I feel good about this. You know what? I feel as good as a Darkstalkers fan who knows he's never getting another game could possibly feel. Well, that's it. That's my rankings of all the Darkstalkers characters. I want to thank all you guys for tuning in today. Hopefully this turned out well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see us do more tier list videos, like I said, we do them on Twitch every now and again. But if you'd like to see us do more stuff like this on the channel, let me know that in the comments down below. Also, let me know how much you approve and or disapprove with our list here. Let us know where you would put all the characters. Let us know all that in the comments down below. And I just want to say, hope you guys are enjoying Thorgiween so far. We got a lot more in store. And come back next time. Oh, and happy Halloween.
Nasty weather got you little monsters uptight. Make it a blockbuster night.
Or buy. Choose from a wide variety of materials and accessories to create your own costume or take advantage of the custom.
This part always chokes me up.
This Halloween,